The summer of CSGO continues as we approach the halfway mark of the tournament. Here to break down the Premier Tournament schedule, with the next stop being its StarSeries Season 5, is Adam Booth. We've got a prize pool of $300,000 up for grabs, $125,000 for first place. Quite a lot of money at stake here, but we're missing two of the best teams. What does that mean in terms of betting? Does it mean that the tournament's wide open?
Yeah, definitely. It's a stacked tournament, certainly. We've got, I think, I was just going through the ranks just as I do my preview, and I think we've got something like 12 of the top 20 teams though still in attendance. So um, even though the two best or hottest teams right now are taking a break, we'll see some extra. We'll get some extra looks at the rest of the field. And it'll really help going into the summer, where there's so many other tournaments featuring FaZe and Astralis. We can see sort of who falls in behind them.
Uh-huh. Now, this tournament obviously features the Swiss technique. Can you expand on this more?
Sure, yeah, the Swiss format was something that just began to gain some popularity last summer. How it works is it's a round robin style. Well, it's not round robin, but it is round robin style in the sense that all the teams sort of rotate with the other teams and get matched up with teams of an identical record. So in your round one matchups, you have Liquid versus NRG. One of those teams is going to come away with a 1-0 record. The other will be 0-1. Then in the seven other matchups, you're going to have teams that are going to also get a 1-0 or a 0-1 record. Teams after round one going into round two will be drawn to face a team with the identical record. After round two, teams will either be 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2. Again, they're going to be matched up with teams that have those identical records. And it's a very long process, but it's a
Yeah.
very fair process. The best teams do seem to come out on top because it's a best of three. So
Yeah.
um, I could probably ramble on about it, but if yeah, it's all right there.
Yeah. Well, do check out the article at sportsbookreview.com. But in the article, you mentioned as well that you're going to wait until the fourth day of the tournament to see if there's any value on the futures. Can you expand on that?
Certainly. With FaZe and Astralis not being in this tournament, ne- even if they were in the tournament, they would still be the favorites, probably about a plus 200, plus 250 on both of them to win the trophy. This week, we see Navi being given the favorite price. I think they're at about plus 300. Now, Navi could be toppled by any of six different teams there. Whereas if FaZe or Astralis were attending, I might give that kind of respect to maybe one or two rosters to knock them out. So I don't see a lot of value on betting anybody to win the whole title until we've seen the form coming in. Now, the tournament is being held in Kiev. Some of these teams are coming from North America and Dallas, where they just played last week. Some are coming from Moscow, where they just played a couple of days ago. Some are coming from, as far as away as China. So it's hard to see, the teams that are going to be the most prepared, rested, motivated, the teams with the best chemistry. So I want to use this round robin best of three format to really get as much information as we can going into playoffs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, though, off record, do you have a lean?
Yes, I do. I
And it's off record, so we
partly,
won't hold you to
yeah,
it. Well,
off
it's on
record, yeah.
record because it's on the video, but off record, so you're not. But just, I don't know, who do you have like a sneaky suspicion or two
Yeah.
teams that you think,
My off record, on record picks, or dark horses, maybe we could say, for the tournament. SK is starting to look dangerous again. We saw them get to the playoffs last week. Previously, for the last 3 months, they've sort of been knocked out of group stages and been upset by every manner of roster. So SK, I think, we could see, squeeze out a semifinal final run. Um, Another team would be Mouse Sports. It would not surprise me at all if they took home the trophy. They have beat Navi a couple times this year. Um, and I mean, Navi, they're getting the respect of a favorite price. They shouldn't be, brushed aside. They are a team with a lot of firepower, and I do believe we'll see them in the playoffs and probably the semifinals. But there's still something about that team. They're just missing maybe one player, or maybe just a little bit more depth on their T side strategies. Right now, they rely. I could ramble on about this, but those SK, Navi, and Mouse Sports should be, in my view, respected as three of the four semifinalists.
Okay, interesting stuff. Now you do so obviously you're staying away from the outrights right now until playoffs. Very wise. There are some props and futures that you mention in your article. First one is team to play most maps. Right now, are you putting any money on that?
Yeah, so everything that I posted in the Sportsbook review article, I have already placed myself. Now, these prop bets, I mentioned in the Dota article earlier this week that I tend to stay away from a lot of the prop bets in Dota simply because um, they seem like a coin toss a lot of the time. I don't find that with the form of particular teams. I follow Counter Strike a bit closer, but these are not just you know bets to have fun with. I do believe in every one of these picks, and I've placed a unit on every one. So the team to play most maps with this type of market, you're looking for teams that are going to go farther than the team they're matched up against. So Gambit, NIP, North, AGO, NRG, and Avangar. Those teams, I believe, will all have better performances than the team on the opposite side, who I feel are maybe a bit, while still dangerous, um, are more likely to get knocked out in the group stage. So it's not saying that the teams on the that I've picked for the money line are going to go the furthest in the tournament. It's saying that if they both draw equal opponents in the group stage, I think the teams I've chosen will fare better. But again, we could see, for example, Gambit faces Hellraisers. Gambit could win that, then face SK, Navi, and Mouse Sports and go out 1-3. So it's very dependent on who they draw. But that's, we're trying to build our betting around having an edge. And I feel that these teams in the left column all have an edge.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I spoke with you on Skype about this. We have a guy in the office called Fabian, and he is an esports bettor as well. He focuses on League of Legends. And anyway, so I said to Fabian that I said, obviously, told him about you and that you were coming on board. And I said, you got to check this guy out. And he's been following your bets on Twitter, and somewhat blindly because, he's a League of Legends bettor. And this is CSGO. Anyway, he's been telling me he's been making quite a tidy profit, which is very nice. So I do urge our viewers here to go and check out Adam Booth. There are some losses, but overall there are winners, and
Yeah, well,
yeah.
funny enough, we made a unit of profit, just over a unit of profit today. Now, I mentioned when I came on board with the SBR Team Bankroll Group that my goal is a very humble 3 units per week. That is what I'm aiming for, week in and week out, 365 days a year, because I believe in what I'm doing and my consistency through the price I'm getting on my bets. So I'm going to have days where I'm taking some juicy underdogs or maybe a favorite that is a little expensive, but I'm looking for the value based on the numbers that I've seen. So yeah, Fabian was lucky enough to grab most of the winners on the 2 days
Yes, I
that
know. He
he's been
said.
following.
He said he woke up a bit
But
late or something, and the two bets that you gave were
yeah,
like losses. But he was like, "Well, I'm gonna take the next
yeah,
couple," and they were all winners. Yeah, that was
yeah.
good. That was
No, that
good.
and I'm glad. And honestly, I got a few questions from people this week on Twitter, just about the markets to look for and just understanding what we're betting. I'm free and happy to answer questions anytime. I know esports markets, they look very alien to a lot of traditional bettors, but this is why I'm here. I've been betting it for some years now, and I'm very easygoing when it comes. There's no stupid questions. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah.
if you're somebody that wants to get into it, just fire away.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's Lock, LOCKE, QWERTY like the keyboard. And he
That's
comes
right.
on, he doesn't sell his picks. He's just an esports pro better for himself. And
Yeah.
we managed to find him, and this is why he's here to basically just give us a free betting pick. So that's like super awesome. And we will also have Fabian on at some point. I think I'm looking at next week. Basically, sort of I'll have the sort of the CS:GO betting pro, League of Legends pro, and I'm gonna get them, together and discuss picks really and betting and the both games and how they differ and whatnot. So if you're on either a CS:GO better player viewer or League of Legends, make sure to join us next week. Now, obviously, so we discussed the team to play most maps, and then there's a few others as well that you gave. Again, in the article, I'll put the link in the description box for you guys to check it out because all the tips are written there. There's a few others that you play. So as player with the highest 2 ranking, least player maps. So there's a few others that you give. Which ones are sort of your like lock? I know you don't like that word, but I don't know which ones are your best bets. Which one are your favorites right now?
Well, if someone's looking, well, actually, you know what? Quickly, I'll just I haven't placed anything on the opening matchups, but I think that might be more beneficial. So in the opening round of matches, a few of the teams that I'm liking uh, Avantgarde to take a map off of Gambit. I'm liking North to take a map off of Mouse Sports.
Mm-hmm.
I'm liking Ninjas in Pajamas to beat the Hellraisers. And there's a couple others that I'm expecting. Oh, and NRG, I am liking to take a map off Liquid. There's a lot of heavy favorites on that day one, but remember it's a best of three, and
Yeah.
teams will come in paired for their first matches, um, simply because that's the only opponent that they know they're facing. Everything after that is a team just trying to play their own game. They can't prepare for their opposition too much. So I will, as we mentioned, I'll be tweeting out those on Sunday and Monday. But I also wanted to mention we still got CS:GO qualifiers this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There's still the ESL1 Birmingham Dota tournament continuing on Saturday, Sunday, and tonight I'll be tweeting out some StarCraft picks that I'm liking for this weekend. So lots to follow, lots to and again, you can be moderate with the amount of units you expose. I do try to. I don't tweet out everything that I'm on, but
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
try to tweet out the best of what I'm
Yeah.
liking.
I have to say one thing I think that is common amongst all punters is the lack of time and sleep and everything. It's just so much that goes behind all this. One other thing that also I want to point out, you keep talking about units. We do get a lot of questions about units. Units often it's to do with your bankroll. Your bankroll is something that you decide whether it's a monthly. It's a little bit like saying your shopping budget or your personal grooming budget or something like that. You give yourself a budget, and that is your budget for the month. Whether it's $100, $1,000, really what you can comfortably afford to use, and you bet a percentage of that, and that generally is a unit. If you want to go 2 units, 3 units, depending on how confident you feel. So that is so when Adam says like I'm going to bet a unit. So if $100 is your bankroll or €100 for the month, that'll be $1. 2 units, $2. Have I summed that up rightly? Is there anything else that you would add on that for our viewers?
Yep. When I started taking sports bet, so I am a professional sports bettor. This is what I do for income. And when I made the decision to start taking it more seriously and not just be a hockey fan and putting $50 on a game because it's my Edmonton Oilers. When I started taking it more seriously, a mentor sort of guided me in bankroll discipline and some basic practices. And the one thing that I'll never do is risk more than 2% of my bankroll on a single wager.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying 1 unit, it is literally 1% of my esports bankroll specifically.
Yeah.
Um, I also tweet out some picks that are progression picks. That's an A bet on map one, a B bet on map two. That's the only time that I'll go away from a strict 1 or 2 unit wager, but it's within it has all these requirements in order to qualify for a progression pick. It's not this team is a heavy favorite. I'm going to take map one,
Yeah.
1 unit, and map two, four
Yeah.
units. So progression betting is another thing to talk about another day. But yes, Natalie, you explained that very well. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Sound advice. Managing your bankroll, betting responsibly. Do remember that. Adam Booth, thank you again for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you to everybody watching. We'll be back again next week. Take care.